Welcome to another episode, everyone. F-Bone from Rolling 40's Crip. Indeed, a squabble up and crash out artist. And they're in YTS, CYA, California Youth Authority, YTS, Youth Training School, where I resided from September of 1992 until January of 1994. I came from Paso, and I had been in Paso from April of 1990 until September of 1992 when I was transferred to YTS. And F-Bone was there in YTS, and he already had a strong reputation, and he was indeed a strong individual. And so was Spanky from either Pueblos or BSV, Bloodstone Village. Now, I can't recall which one Spanky was from. Stocky dude, short hair. In fact, I brought you a story about Spanky before. He and I had got into it, and Spanky was also, again, a solid and strong member, well-known and well-respected. Bear in mind, we are all young at this time. I was 19 years old when I got to YTS. And no one in YTS, the age was 18 to 25 years old. So no one in YTS was past 25 years old, and no one was younger than 18. That's how it was supposed to be anyway. And so I was 19. As soon as I turned 19, a few months later, they hurry up and send me there and get me out of Paso Robles. So again, I'm there in YTS, and F-Bone, his reputation, well, it preceded him. He had already been squabbling up even there in YTS. And YTS is known as a squabble up environment. This is where people really got their bones and made their eggs right there in YTS, or CYA in general, but particularly there in YTS, you can build a reputation for being a strong squabbler if you were in there taking care of business. And people were in there gang banging and going up constantly. We just didn't know any better. And since we were all young and eager to cultivate our reputations, well, most of us were not going for none. There was some strong individuals in there. B-Dog from Pueblos was in there. Lunatic from Pueblos. Fred Dog from Bonnie Hanna. Lil Duck, rest in peace. Fred Dog, rest in peace from Bonnie Hanna. Lil Duck, rest in peace from Hoover. So forth and so on. And so Spanky, well, he has at least his unit, M&N, sold up. There in YTS, they had stopped, you couldn't smoke cigarettes, but the police were bringing in cigarettes, carton of cigarettes to certain individuals, and you can sell the cartons of cigarettes, and then whoever you sell them to would sell packs of cigarettes or single cigarettes or whatever. And so Spanky had the connection and had packs and cartons of cigarettes, amongst other things. There, he had it sold up. He was about his money. He was making money, but he wasn't just a money maker. He was also a squabbler. He was also a strong individual steeped into the gang culture. And he wasn't going to be slighted by anyone. Now, him and F-Bone, they were real cool there on the unit at first. They both recognized one another as strong individuals whose reputation preceded them and who wasn't going for none, and they were doing business with one another. They respected one another. They were cool right there on the unit. F-Bone was buying cartons of cigarettes from Spanky, and he was selling single cigarettes and packs of cigarettes, and everything was going along fine for some time. Spanky was making a lot of money at this juncture there in YTS. And F-Bone, he was just getting what he could get from what he was getting from Spanky. and they were getting along just fine. Then all of a sudden they had a spat, a falling out of sorts over some money, over the dealings with the cartons of cigarettes. I don't know who felt like who was playing who. I wasn't that involved in the situation. I just know that they began to not see eye to eye with one another and began to get into it. Then they stopped speaking to one another. And then all of a sudden, right there on the tier, they had an argument. And F-Bone, who was sort of tall, skinny, but had a little size on him, like cut up, and he had French braids at the time. And again, he seemed to have a short temper. He wasn't going for none. But again, neither was Spanky. These are both strong, solid individuals from very solid hoods, very known hoods. And they are known within their hoods, which is really stand out. And you have to be a standout individual to be from a strong, famous, dangerous, violent hood and still have a reputation in that hood, because most people in that hood, in that game, are violent. Most of them are dangerous. Most of them are somebody. So if you can stand out amongst that crowd, then yeah, you really stand out amongst the crowd. And both of these individuals did so. And they both know about one another. And so I believe that they're both proceeding with caution because they know one another, they respect one another, but at the same time, they both stand strong to their morals and their personal ethics. And someone in this relationship feels slighted and disrespected. I don't know who, I don't know exactly what happened. I just know that it was over the business that they was doing with the cartons of cigarettes. So now they're on the tier and they're arguing back and forth. These are not two individuals that you would normally catch arguing. They just get physical, violent, quickly. They take care of business. No talking involved, even at the tender age of 19, 20, 21, and 22 years old. They were taught by some of the best when it comes to gang banging and what they believed would cultivate a reputation by being violent towards another black man. And so while they're getting into it, the argument stops promptly. It was a quick little spat right there on the tier. It's like they both caught themselves like, man, we don't do no talking. And so they stopped arguing. And they both went to their cells. And later on that day, when they cracked the cell, F-Bone ran into Spanky's cell. Now, this was surprising, again, because you don't know what a man has in his cell. And once you come into a cell, it's like going into a man's home. He has a right to defend himself by any and all means necessary. And it's surprising because they are partners and F-Bone knows that Spanky is not a coward. He ain't a joke. He's not about to back down in any sort of way. And he did not. F-Bone ran in there and he started swinging. He didn't have a weapon. No weapons were involved. And so Spanky didn't put out a weapon either. They was just squabbling. And again, Spanky's a big dude. He's bigger than F-Bone. He's shorter, but he's bigger, bro. Big, stocky, with some muscle. And he's in there and he's throwing him. He's pissed off that F-Bone has run into his cell. But F-Bone, well, he's a rider. He was turned up before turned up was a thing. He was young, but he was still strong and solid, and he wasn't going for none. And apparently, he had felt disrespected. He was the one that had felt disrespected by Spank. I say that because, well, he ran into Spank's cell. And they're squabbling up. And though Spank is throwing some strong punches, some haymakers, because he's a big dude and he's not swimming. He's a strong individual inside. So he's in there. He like, man, this dude has the temerity to run inside of my cell. This dude tripping. He's not showing me any respect. So he took it personal, and he's in there and he's trying to give it to F-Bone. However, F-Bone also has a lot of heart. And that's all it takes to stay inside of a fight, regardless of the size. And so F-Bone, he's not bagging up whatsoever. He's in there squabbling. He's in there going blow for blow, returning punches. And they're in there squabbling for some time. Now, obviously F-Bone had let the neighborhoods know what he was about to do. But, the Bloods don't know that this dude was about to run in there on Spank. They caught word, they saw what was going on, and so they posted up right there by the door. They let him go in, they let him squabble up, and the neighborhoods was right there, and they let him squabble up. And it was just them two. Now, after they going for some time, and they both in there leaking somewhat. They both in there bleeding because they both in there throwing haymakers at one another, and they're both solid individuals who are not about to bag down. So they done squabbling it up for real strong squabble ups. No quitting. And then finally, the dudes put their head in the cell, their homies, and tell them, that's enough, bro, that's it. Come out, Bone, come out, break it up, that's it, bro, that's it. That's it. So, you know what I'm saying? They broke it up. No one reached out their hand to shake hands or hug in kumbaya. It was on and it was up between the two. And in fact, when F-Bone walked out the cell, Spanky told him, you know what's up. You know what's coming next, bro. You know what's up. This shit ain't over, because he's pissed off that, again, F-Bone ran into his cell. That's really the ultimate disrespect there in prison or YA or county jail, wherever else. To run into my cell and try to whoop me down where I lay my head there. I got all my stuff in here. You run into my cell to try to take me out. You got a lot of nerve. And everyone is going to take umbrage to that. And so did Spanky. And so he's letting F-Bone know, if we just squabble up in the day room or even right here on the chair, it'd have been cool. That could have been it, bro. But you running in my cell, that's a no-go. So you know what's up. It's up from here. Me and you, though, it ain't my homies and your homies, you know what's up. We got to run that back. And you know how we going to do it. Now, I didn't even think that he was talking about a weapon. I knew what he was talking about. I'm finna run in your cell now. Be ready. He just giving him a heads up. He giving F-Bone a warning. You ran into my cell, and now I'm going to run into yours. I'm going to violate your cell. I'm going to come in your cell, and we going to be squabbling and shit flying all over, your pictures and shit flying all off the wall inside of your cell. Blood all in your cell. We going to get violent inside of your cell now, since you came up in my cell. But he's letting F-Bone know, you know what's up from here, and he's clarifying himself. He let him know, I ain't talking about a weapon or nothing. I ain't talking about no war, no riot between the two, the neighborhoods and the blood. I just mean, now I'm finna run in your cell, bro. It's up from here. I'm gonna return the favor. So F-Bone like, man, I'll be ready, whatever. Come in there whenever. You know what I'm saying? We can run it back. Because, F-Bone, he don't give a fuck. They was cool, but now they tripping. They gonna end up being cool again. But right now, Spank wants his run back. He wanna squabble up with F-Bone one more time, and he wants to do it now inside of F-Bone's cell because F-Bone ran into his cell. So F-Bone told him, come on, bring it on, and let's get it in. So Spank said, I'll be down there, bro. Just be ready. I ain't letting you know when I'm coming, just like you ain't let me know when you was coming. Just ran inside of my cell, but I was ready, so you be ready. But I was still giving them a heads up right there, because they still deep down, bro, they respect one another. They still got some sort of love for one another, believe me. But they didn't got into it, and this is what happened when two strong individuals get into it. You squabble up, shake hands, and then go about your way, go eat breakfast together. This is how we do it growing up in gang culture in the neighborhood. This is going to lead to as well. But first, they got to run it back. So Spanky lets him know, be prepared, I'll be down there. And then 2 days later, well, Spanky showed up at an unexpected time like the boogeyman. And well, the fight and even the war between the two, it was on. And in part 2, I'll let you know what happened when Spanky ran inside an F-bone cell. And it was violent and it was more vicious than the first squabble. Stay free, people.